everyone. The time has come to do the 2021 to be read list. I love doing a to be read list every single year. However, since last year, I have decided to only put 10 books on the list. I used to put like 20 to 30 books on a to be read for the year list. And yes, my goal is just to get through half of those books, but why get through half of the books on your list when you can get through most of the books on your list, if not all? Now, in 2020, I got through 8 of the 10 books. I didn't end up reading the last 2 books because they were series books and I suck at finishing series. That's okay. I think 8 out of 10 is pretty good, and I think it's nice to shoot for 8 out of 10. So that is the goal for the year of 2021, is to complete 8 out of these 10 books. But if I can finish them all, it'd be so good. I have some really niche specifics to my goals. So the first goal that I have is to complete more of the books on my paperback shelf. I have an unread paperback shelf, and when I finish those books, I move them to a different shelf so that I know that I have completed them. Good 4 of my choices for this are on that paperback shelf. All 4 of these novels are ones that I have owned for such a long time that I don't remember a time almost when I didn't own them, and that is a sign that these books need to at least be tried. The first book choice that I have here is The Air Affair by Jasper Fforde. I believe this is the first book in the Thursday Next series, which is a series set in a alternate timeline of the year 1985, and it involves time travel. I think in this particular book, someone has stolen Jane Eyre out of the novel Jane Eyre, and the main character, Thursday Next, has to stop the villainy and save literature. I don't know why I haven't gotten to it yet. I think I did try to read it at one point, and I just wasn't in the mood for an alternate timeline thing. So that's why it didn't happen. But I'm now more in those type of books mood. If I do end up liking this, I don't know if I'm going to endeavor to continue on in the series though, because I know that the series is really long. The next book that I have chosen is The Lazarus Trap by Davis Brun? Bun? Yeah, probably Bun. This book, I believe, may also have a science fiction element to it. I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that it is about a man who wakes up in a jail cell remembering absolutely nothing about his life, and then as his memory comes back, he starts to become involved in a series of events that possibly involves vengeance, murder, and mayhem. So it's definitely a thriller. I think this is part of a duology, so maybe I could read the next book in this series if I do enjoy this and feel so led. But yeah, I have owned this for a small eternity. I think I may have gotten these 2 books very close together in time, but I know that I got this one as a teenager. The next book is Isolde, Queen of the Western Isle by Rosalind Miles. This is another book that is part of a series. I do enjoy Arthurian legend and Celtic legend and things like that, and I don't even remember when I bought this book. I just never ended up trying it, and now honestly I'm a little scared of trying it because I've tried to read so many Arthurian legend spin-off type books and I just can't find one that I click with. And maybe this one will be it. And I really did, when I read L'Amour d'Author, enjoy the stories about Tristan and Isolde because they are the best forbidden love couple in that grouping of Celtic legends, in my opinion. They're the most fun to read about. They're also kind of the saddest. I've actually put this one on a readathon to be read for the medieval readathon. So I think if I can get this one read first, it will be extra bomb. I'm still gonna read this next book, but I just found out by looking it up on Goodreads that it is the second book in a series. So I may have to read the first book in the series, but I've literally owned this book forever and not known that. So Okay, so this next book is Heir Apparent by Vivian Vanveld. Vondeveld? I can't say authors' names. Anywho, this was a book that was recommended to me by a clerk at the bookstore. He really loved this novel and recommended it to me, and I bought it, not knowing that it was part of a series. Apparently, this was when I was probably a teenager, and so I do really want to read it. I believe from the summary on Goodreads that it is about a virtual reality game set in a sort of fantasy world. Now, I think the book that is the first book in the series is called User Friendly. So I may have to check that out before checking this out. Next two books are books that I wanted to get to because I bought them on one of those moments where you're just really having a bad day and you're in Target and you buy books. That was what happened with these two books. So I need to read them just so that I feel like I added them to my collection for a reason and not just my spur of the moment, bad day moment. I would like to complete Loki, Where Mischief Lies. This is by Mackenzie Lee. Now, it sounds like a YA prequel to anything Marvel related involving Loki, obviously, and it looks like teen or preteen Loki doing his thing. I think he's gonna try to prove himself because it's all poor Loki knows how to do. I think that I will at least get a kick out of this. Hopefully I will enjoy it. I haven't read any of these Marvel YA books yet. I know there's a Black Widow one as well, and some of these, I think there's some DC ones as well. So I'm definitely intrigued to give these sort of spin-off of cinematic universes books a go. And I'm going to start with Loki because he's my favorite. I don't know why. I'm usually not into bad boys. And then, of course, I'm back into finding that Arthurian legend / Celtic legends book that I need to find one that I enjoy, okay? I'm going to try some more. And I have, of course, chosen Cursed by Thomas Wheeler with the illustrations by Frank Miller. And yes, I did intend to read this in 2020, but I started it and realized that I didn't have the time during the readathon that I wanted to read it for to really commit to it because it is on the longer side. Little worried that I won't like it just because, like I said, I have not had the best track record with Arthurian legend books. But I do like that this book has a different perspective since it is centered around Nimue, who, not unlike Loki, ironically, is usually depicted as a villain or somewhat of an anti-hero type. So I think that would be an interesting perspective to look at, and I'm very intrigued to see how they kind of incorporate the other Arthurian legend characters into this. I figure if nothing else, I will enjoy the artwork. So I'm going to read it no matter what, just for that. I don't know if I'm going to watch the television adaptation, though, of it after I complete it, because I've heard some mixed reviews, which I've also heard some mixed reviews about the book, but I'm still going to give it a go. I've chosen the next 3 books because I want to get my catalog / library of audiobooks down to a reasonable level. I have a habit of buying things when they are on sale off of Audible or downloading books that are free from there or etc. and then not getting to a lot of them, and they just kind of sit in there in their audiobookness on my library. So I chose 3 books. These are all ones that I did actually pay for. So I felt like they got the priority above everything else. So the first audiobook that I would love to get to is The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. I believe this is a story of miscommunication and misunderstanding. It's about a community that every year leaves babies as an offering to a witch. However, from the witch's perspective, at least according to the summary, she believes that these children have just been abandoned, and so she takes them in and cares for them along with, I think, a swamp monster and some dragons and whatnot. It sounds really intriguing. I love the premise, and I'm hoping to really enjoy the audiobook of this. The next book is a book that I've been meaning to read since grade school, and I was going to read it, but I loaned the book to someone else, and I never got the book back, and I never got to read it. That book would be The Never-Ending Story by Michael Ende. This is, of course, the story of a young boy named Bastian who is brought into a world that is falling apart in terms of fantasy worlds, and the story of how this world can be saved. I think this is a horrible summary of Never-Ending Story, but I have seen the film. I have heard that the book is a little bit different from the film, but I'm sure they share some similar themes. I do think that I will have to get this book in actual physical copy and read it along with the audiobook, which means buying another book, which probably isn't a good thing. But on the other side, I will end up completing a book that I have really wanted to read for most of my life. And I hope that I do enjoy it to some extent. So I think maybe it's worth it. The last audiobook that I have chosen is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. I just thought I should pick something from a different genre, and I do have this in audiobook. I did enjoy the audiobook of Gone Girl quite a bit, so I think that I will enjoy this. Pretty sure that this one is going to hurt me though, because it is about a reporter that has just left the mental hospital, and she is trying to solve a murder while navigating her complex family life. And my mom did watch the television show and was like, it's deep, girl, it's deep. So I'm going to read this book knowing that it's going to go deep, and it's going to be a sharp object. The last book is a reread, but it is another effort to actually read some of my anniversary edition books that I have recently or not so recently collected. And the last anniversary edition of something that I purchased was the 80th edition of the novel Rebecca. I really, really love the novel Rebecca. So I finally bought this edition, and I would really, really love to give it a reread because the writing is so beautiful and good. Now, I also do have this in audiobook, so I might audiobook it as I reread it at some points. But yes, I'm very excited to reread Rebecca. And this book cover is everything. Oh my gosh, this smells straight up like that book smell that everybody talks about. That's what this smells like. I finished filming and then realized that I did not pick a Shakespeare play of the year for this year. And that's because I do not know what Shakespeare play to read for 2021. So I need suggestions because I don't know if I should go history, tragedy, comedy, where I should go with the Shakespeare play of the year. Or should I just reread something? I don't know. That is my list of 10 books I would like to read in 2021. I'm a little intimidated, but also excited about all these books. These are all novels that I think I have avoided for a while because I've been not sure that I'm going to enjoy them. So wish me luck on my journey for 2021 with reading this to be read. Please drop me a comment below and let me know some books that you would like to get to in 2021. And I will see you all soon with another video. Bye!